There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, happiness, health, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome to another fantastic episode. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality according to New Thought spiritual principles. We teach that there's one presence and power in the universe that expresses in you, through you, and as you. We teach the creative power of thought, and we teach that this power, whether you call it source, infinite intelligence, or divine love, is a power for good, and that you ought to have that good. We do this through our thinking, not our casual thoughts, but the sum total of our thoughts and our beliefs. And so what we do is we teach you how to think, not what to think, but how to think. And along those lines, I have two fantastic guests lined up for you today. A little later on in the show, I have the past president of the Divine Science Federation, and that's Dr. Tim Stewart will be with us. But right now, I'm so thrilled to bring you one of my mentors, the inspirational and dynamic Dr. Angelo Pizelo. Welcome to Spirituality Rocks.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Janine. It's so nice to be with you again.
I'm just so thrilled to have you. Now, for those who do not know, Dr. Pizelo is the Dean of Emerson Theological Institute, and he is the Senior Minister at the Oakhurst Positive Living Center. That's Oakhurst, California. So tell the people, tell them a little bit about you. Tell them about your background. How did you come to get into practical spirituality?
Well, it was many years ago, 45 years ago actually. I celebrated my 45th year on July 1. I was a superintendent of a school district and was running this district, and the business manager came to me one day and said, Angelo, the way you run this district through love and the open door policy, you ought to come to visit our church. And I said, I don't do that. I don't do church anymore. This was in 1970. It was in July. And I said, no, I don't do church. And he kept bugging me. So finally, I just gave in, and I went and I attended my very first religious science church, and that was in Redding, California. And I've been doing it ever since. Started taking classes, and over the years, I spent over 30 years running school districts and being in the public school situation, and I never had one major problem because I use these universal principles in all areas of my life and in all areas of running the school district, and it was just an amazing, wonderful 30 years of experience.
That's fantastic. So for those who may not know, what are universal principles? What are the fundamental ideas as taught by New Thought?
Well, basically, one of the things I like to talk about is one principle is that which you identify with, you become. And I think one of the major problems people have is they don't understand or realize that they're magnificent, spiritual, eternal beings on vacation on planet Earth. I mean, they will not accept that. We're here for a very short period of time, and rather than label everything or get excited or upset about what's going on, we're here to experience this human drama and experience the whole enchilada of the drama, and that's why we're here, and we grow from it. So one of the universal principles I use is that which we are confronted with, or that which we experience benefits us in some way. Now that's a universal principle as far as I'm concerned. If you look back in your own life and you see something, or you've experienced something that actually seems so out of control and just terrible, but a few years later you realize, my gosh, that experience benefited me, and it brought me to a higher level of consciousness. So I consider that as my universal principle. Another one, do you really want me to go on with this? I can go on.
Yes, no, I would love for you, because there are people who are new to practical spirituality who need to understand these basic ideas. So tell us, what's another one that's fundamental, please?
Another one is that we need to look within ourselves and say, hey, listen, being that we're here on a short period of time, we're learning how to, as eternal spiritual being, trying to learn how to adjust to a limited body. It's kind of interesting. We're here to try to experience what it's like to be in the physical form. We're eternal. We were here before the beginning, and we'll be here for eternally. And therefore, we need to identify with that. So what that means is we don't identify with our creations, our stuff. One of the universal principles is that which you focus on, you actually manifest. And if you want something, another universal principle, if you really truly desire something, you need to know that you've got it. It's in the present moment, and it will be yours. And if you go into traditional religion and you follow the life of our Master Jesus, he said, if you want something, know that you've got it and you shall have it. That's a universal principle. Another one is live in the now, live right now. If you are concentrating on fear and doubt and things that have happened in the past, you're not in this present moment. And the only real reality that we have in our life is right here and right now. And so what we do is if we're focusing on the past, we're separating ourselves from the glory of right here and now. And so that's another universal principle is forgiveness. We need to release our attachment to what's happened in the past and stay focused right here in the moment. That which we're grateful for is another universal principle. That which we're grateful for expands in our life. You know, we tend to look at things as what we don't have. And then we start focusing and we call home to mommy and we say, oh, I don't have this or that. The bottom line is this. Be grateful for what you have. Right now I've got some very good friends who are in the hospital now. One of them has COPD, just struggles for one breath at a time. And we take breathing for granted. For goodness sakes, be grateful. You may not have your wallet full of money right now, but there are things you can be grateful for.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful that I have this life that I'm living and I'm breathing every day. I don't have to struggle for the breath. So there's a lot to be grateful for. Pardon me.
No, I have a lot of questions here. That's a very good point. And my favorite quote by Plato is, a grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts great things. So I love that idea of gratitude. Now, what you said before, I'd like for you to please expound upon it, because when you are, let's say you have a cold or you're ill, and to claim that you're healthy, that just doesn't seem to make sense. So could you explain that idea of what we call acting as if?
Well, here's the problem with when we start as this eternal being occupying this body, I cannot have a cold. At the core of my being, Angelo Pizelo, I'm eternal, I'm spiritual, I cannot have anything that's not whole, complete, and so I cannot have disease. So it's a misnomer when we say, I have a cold. No, what has a cold? This body of mine has a cold. And this body can be taken care of. And through my thought processes, if I focus on this body having a cold, we're going to continue to have a cold, because that which I focus on expands in our life. So therefore, what I need to do then is say, I'm whole and I'm complete. We practitioners, I have a practitioner credential as well. We practitioners, we look beyond the area that we're looking at. We look beyond it. We look at the spirituality of it. So and the spirituality of it is that the I am cannot have disease. It is always whole, it's eternal, it's complete. It can never be touched by the physical world. So it's a mindset that we need to teach. In New Thought, we teach people to start looking at what they're focusing on, what they're thinking about, because they are a creative dynamo. They are a creative being, and what they think on, and Plato said that. You mentioned Plato. Yeah, I love Plato. Plato said many years ago, 300 AD, BC, 300 BC, Plato said, that which we focus on creates a spiritual prototype. Isn't that interesting? Creates a spiritual prototype that mysteriously manifests what you're focusing on. Very interesting. So that was New Thought.
That was definitely, yeah, back then that definitely was New Thought.
So it's beautiful. So it's a reawakening to the power that we have. But the first step is to stop whining your way through this drama, this human drama, because it's a short term. And you know, animals know that the principal purpose of this life, this human life, is to enjoy it and to learn from it. Animals have that naturally. We human beings, we don't have the faintest idea.
Right.
I'm here to enjoy this human drama.
All right.
Also, and you get me on this thing here, I could talk for 4
Well,
hours on it.
The camera just moved. But your camera just moved. I'm sorry, Angie, the camera just moved. You must have, in your excitement, you must have hit the camera because we're not seeing your mouth. There we go.
When I'm giving a talk, too, I almost threw a lectern off the stage one day.
Okay, well, maybe if you sit back.
This thing here.
Sit back. Maybe if you sat back, we could see your whole head. There we go. Okay, we can see most of you. We don't see your chin, but
Oh gosh, shame on me.
there we go. That's perfect. Okay, now you can sit forward. Okay, so you were talking about what we call, that's good, thinking independently of existing circumstances. That's not always easy to do. How do you do that? What are the skills and the tools necessary to make that real?
It's still identification. It's
Okay.
identification. We're here to experience this whole enchilada of human living. We're here to experience what we consider the shadow side or the dark side. We're to experience these 5 or 6 billion people. All of them are creative beings doing their thing. Because the universe said, hey, go out there and do your thing. And if you want to act separately and do bad things, go for it, because it's a human drama. So we're here to experience all of that, but we need to not attach ourselves to what's going on. That's our problem. Our problem, we see the news, we see the beheadings, we see all this, and we start attaching our emotions to it. No, these are things that are going on where people, it's actually, you might say, well, is this God in action? Well, what it is, it's the universe saying, hey, you're going to experience a human drama in your own way. You have a chance to choose how you want to experience it. You can experience it from an identification of what you really are, an eternal spiritual being, a love entity. Or you can be separated from yourself and say, no, I'm going to go do whatever it is I want to do. And so what we need to do, you ask the question, how do we get there? We get there, and it's identification. I need to identify when I've got somebody in my face who's angry. That person is operating out of his own consciousness. It's where he is. But with Angelo, here's this guy in my face telling me what I am in a negative way. I look at that person and I see within himself he's a spiritual being who's is operating in a consciousness that he has at the moment, and therefore I need to rise above it. And what we always say on that is, you never solve a problem at the level of, and this is a universal law, by the way, you never solve a problem at the level of consciousness that it was created. In other words, I don't scream and yell at him and join him in the dirt. No, I rise above it. And I know in my mind and my awareness that I'm a spiritual being that cannot be in any way hurt by a physical drama. I can't do that because I was here before the beginning, and I'll be here eternally. Therefore, I'm here enjoying this new experience that will benefit me in some way, which will make me think of it a little higher. How do I deal with this experience? How do I go to that higher level of consciousness to where I can deal with this? That's what it's all about. It's really awesome. The problem is we don't get a manual. When we're born, we don't get a manual on how to deal with all this stuff.
Right.
That's why Janine Burns needs to be on TV. And, of course, Angelo's out there doing his thing. We need to kind of straighten this thing out here. It's fun. I love every moment of this human life. And you can't lose it. We ministers, I hear it. We've had 8 funerals in the last 3 months. A lot of our World War II vets are moving on to a new dimension. And then I hear this from ministers saying, he lost his life. You can't lose your life. How can you lose a life? Life is God itself. It's the presence of the divine. It can't be lost. We've lost the physical presence of so-and-so, but we can't lose a life. So it's all a mindset. It's starting to realize and to embody the fact that, I'm an eternal being, and I can walk out that door and I'm confronted by all this nonsense and this madness, but I'm a powerful individual because I can't be touched in any way by the content of this human drama. So I don't focus on it, I don't call home about it, I just experience it. And what I said earlier, it's a universal principle. That which we are confronted with or that happens to us, it has some hidden benefits that we're not aware of. That which we experience embraces and enhances us in some mysterious way that we may not even understand at the moment. Anyway, I'm blabbing here.
No, that's great, because you know what? It's time for a commercial break, so that's divine synchronicity. So when we come back, I would like to talk to the people about this idea of a course of study with Emerson Institute, if they want to have a systematic study of practical spirituality and spiritual principles, how they can do that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these commercials with more of Spirituality Rocks.
Stretching under sedation or manipulation under anesthesia is a very gentle, very precise procedure to very slowly release any scar tissue that is formed as a result of a traumatic injury. Many people ask, how does this work? Will I get hurt? Will you stretch me too far? We only stretch the body part to its normal range of motion. After completing the post-MUA rehabilitation program, it's very common that our patients say to us, hey, I can play ball with my kid again. Hey, I can bowl again. Hey, I can enjoy hiking again. This is what makes it rewarding to us as practitioners.
Dunkin' Donuts are always fresh. I made the donuts. We make them at least twice every day. Time to make the donuts. Not a few kinds, like supermarket. Made the donuts. Time to make the donuts. But up to 52 varieties. The donuts. Time to make the donuts. I made the donuts. Dunkin' Donuts, up to 52 varieties, fresh day and night. No supermarket can say.
After all the candles are blown out, after the last toast of the night, Cambridge paving stones with ArmorTech stand the test of time. Beautifully designed, built to last. Only Cambridge paving stones have ArmorTech, our unique process that produces a rich, distinctive color. Create your own memories with Cambridge paving stones. Visit CambridgePavers.com.
Cambridge paving stones with ArmorTech will always look like new.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns. Excited to be bringing you the Dean of Emerson Theological Institute, Dr. Angelo Pizelo. Welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here.
So, what I want people to know that there are prescribed course of study through Emerson Theological Institute that they can take to learn practical spirituality. You can become a practitioner. You can become an interfaith chaplain. You can become an animal chaplain, a minister. You can get a doctorate of religious studies, doctorate of divinity. There's many degree programs that you can get. It's not an academic degree. What it is, it's a degree in consciousness that is recognized as a degree of authority in practical spirituality. And so you can go to www.emc emersoninstitute.edu. That's emersoninstitute.edu, and you will be able to look up further information on that. Now, Angie, let's tell the people what is a practitioner.
Well, a practitioner is someone who's trained to do what we call scientific prayers. We call them prayer treatments. They're like a prayer partner, where they look beyond the condition. And so somebody may come to them and say, I have this terrible rash on my face, for example. And so the practitioner goes directly to source, looks beyond the condition, and knows that this person at the core of its being, his being or her being, is whole and complete right here and now, right now. So the treatment itself is done in consciousness, in the mind of the practitioner, and we're all connected, so it's affecting also the client. The issue here is to not have a perception of a disease or a condition and focus on that, but to focus on the core of who and what we are. It's exactly what I was talking about a little bit earlier, that we need to identify with the core of our being. And when we do then we call forth from a dimension of all possibilities. See, that practitioner is trained to do this, but is also trained to know that he or she is a life form of the divine, directly connected to what we call the dimension of all possibilities. And so there's nothing beyond the realm of physical that cannot be brought forth as a healing device. This last year, we had somebody come to us with bladder cancer, and is a friend of mine who didn't really know this New Thought Belief System, and so I spent several sessions with him, explaining to him that he's focused so much on his disease and the picture of the disease, and so we got him to start thinking about something else, about calling forth that which he is at the core of his being. And I asked him to also attend a retreat that had to do with healing. But anyway, a few months later,
we lost the Skype. Whoops. Okay. I'm going to get the Skype back for you, but in the meantime, what I'd like to do is tell you who may not be near a spiritual community where you can study a systematic study of practical spirituality. There is a book, and it is called The Basic Principles of Science of Mind. It's by Frederick Bales. Basic Principles of Science of Mind by Frederick Bales. And what you can do is you can get that book through Amazon, and so if you're not near a center on one of the accredited centers with Emerson Institute, you can go and order that book. It's a series of 12 lessons, and you can use that. Angie, are you there? I thought I had him on Skype.
Yeah, I lost you there for a moment.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you were telling a story. Go ahead.
Oh, anyway, what I'm saying is that it's all a matter where it's consciousness. The word consciousness, a lot of people don't understand what that really means. And when you look at the word conscious, it comes from the Greek and Latin. The word con, C-O-N, means with. The shus means to know with. So what do you know with? If you have a problem and you come to a practitioner, the first thing they're going to do is know with the idea that you're whole and complete. Regardless of perception, regardless of what the physical dimension says you are, they're going to look at that core, the wholeness and completeness, and they're trained to do this. And then they do a 5-step treatment, showing that this person is unified and is one with God, is a life form of God. And then they call forth this the nature of the divine, which is the nature of the individual. That individual who needs some help, the nature of that person is the same nature of the divine. And so that's wholeness, completeness, it's the love energy, that's the most healing energy in the world.
And so the treatment then is affirmative prayer. It's a process that the practitioner does in their own consciousness of this identification to which you just referred.
Absolutely. It works like a charm. My story had to do with a man with cancer, and if you get the person to really buy into, and I hate to say the word buy into, but it's true, that we want him to, in conscious, to be totally aware that he is not the disease. What he is whole and complete. He is nature, and the nature of spirit is one and the same, whole, complete, and a love force. And so if he can identify with that, he has a better chance of overcoming the appearance of the disease itself. You mentioned Emerson. Did you want me to talk about that?
Yes, we have about 3 minutes left. I'd like you to talk about Emerson and how what people can do if they want to take classes.
Okay, and I'll move a little rapidly. I know I talk too fast sometimes, but the thing is, our vision and our mission in Emerson, when we created it 25 years ago, is to take this beautiful new thought ideas worldwide, and so that people will understand that they have an opportunity to enhance their life through this identification with spirit. And so, with Emerson, it's very user-friendly. We don't say you must come to an Emerson Center. We have about 55 of them throughout the world, throughout the nation, and also we have in London now. We're in about 7 or 8 countries with practitioners in 7 or 8 countries with Emerson Global. You can go to Emerson Global and see what we're doing there. But the idea is to get this belief system out. So we don't say you must come to an Emerson Center. Go to any New Thought Center. There's a beautiful organization called CSL. We really buy into it. We honor those people. Many of their leadership got their degrees through Emerson, and we honor them. And so you can go to an CSL center. There's many of them throughout the world. You can go to any center that teaches this beautiful system. We will give you credit if you want to work towards a credential or degree. Once you enroll, you can go anywhere. We send you a letter showing you what you're going to need to do. You can do it online. You can do it through correspondence, but you can do it in the most important way, I think, is the residential class. But any way you select, you can do it. And if you go to a center that's not Emerson, all you do is send us a certificate of completion, and you get credit for it. It's as beautiful as that. So we're proud of what we do. We just came back from another graduation in Phoenix. We have an animal chaplaincy program. So we look at that, and we know that even from the animals, we can get those universal principles. They have it innately. They teach us how to love. They teach us how to release. They teach us how to forgive. They teach us love energy, unconditional love energy. So that's why we have that animal chaplaincy program. It's beautiful.
That's great. And what I want the people to know as well is we roll a series of credits, if you will, at the end of the show, and any New Thought organization that I could possibly think of is listed there, so people can find more about practical spirituality and learn techniques to use in their everyday life. Before we go, I'd like to ask you, what is one of your favorite books? What book do you always return to over and over again in practical spirituality?
Oh, you mentioned Frederick Bales. I think I'd start right there. It's the whole idea of New Thought, the science of mind, how to use the science of mind. And what it does, what I love about it is it really gets into this idea of practitioner work.
Yes.
I think one of the most important things I ever did was to learn how to be a practitioner of religious science.
And that book,
I think that's the guts of our whole organization. And you people out there, if you've never done it, get a hold of this, How to Use the Science of Mind, I believe they call it, by Frederick Bales. It's a 13-unit self-study program. You can do it at home. And after you do it, you get 2 credits of semester unit credits from Emerson. All you have to do is certify that you've done it, and we'll give you your 2 credits.
yes. Now, actually, that book, the book How to Use Science of Mind, is by Ernest Holmes, and it's called Basic Principles of Science of Mind. That's the 12-week study course by Frederick Bales.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Basic Principles of Science of Mind.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks. It's always a pleasure. You're just a ball of enthusiasm. You're a radiant being of light and love, and just a real role model for those of us in New Thought and Practical Spirituality. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you, and I thank you so much.
The feeling is mutual, Janine. You've been my friend for 25 years or more.
And I'm the liaison for Emerson.
Yes, you are, and you were a baby when you first came to us.
Well, you know what? On that note, I'll take it. We'll be right back with more of Spirituality Rocks, and then we're going to be meeting Dr. Tim Stewart. So stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. Find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
This is Beth.
Hi.
Oh, congratulations. When are you due?
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, look at that. Excuse me.
You're totally thin.
You look very sexy.
For life's bleachable moments, all it takes is 3/4 of a cup.
I think this is a good time to tell you. You're doing okay, Mom. I can call you Mom, right? I know we haven't known each other very long, but you seem like a real keeper. You're not perfect. There was that strained carrots incident, but you're trying. You pick up my bottle every time I toss it out of my stroller. That's high comedy to an 8-month-old. You hum the Barber of Seville when you wash my hair. So cool. And your rub-downs are out of this world. Anyway, I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You know, right? How much I love you? You're doing okay, Mom.
Hi, welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality according to the New Thought principles. And I have something I want to bring to you today, which I'd like you to Google when you have a chance. It's called Oath of Manifestation. And the Oath of Manifestation was presented by Agape, and that is with Dr. Michael Beckwith. And they have this wonderful oath of manifestation that you would say every day in order to tune your consciousness in to the amazing energy and power of spirit and to have a greater sense of expectancy. So I'm going to bring it to you a little later, but right now, whom I'm going to bring to you is Dr. Tim Stewart. Dr. Tim Stewart not only is a buddy of mine who teaches New Thought, he is the past president of the Divine Science Federation. And if you have been watching Spirituality Rocks, you will know that last week we had on us Dr. Will Mercer, who wrote the book called The Christology Connection. And when I spoke to Dr. Tim Stewart earlier today, he told me that the Divine Science headquarters is filled with a plethora of books, and he's going to tell us how to get copies for ourselves. But let's start with welcoming Dr. Tim Stewart to Spirituality Rocks. Hello, my friend.
Hello, Janine. How are you tonight?
I'm just fantastic. Welcome.
All right, I will say one thing. I'm the current president, not the past president.
Oh, the current president.
Mercer is the past.
Wait, I need to apologize. Will Mercer was the past. You're the current president. Oh my gosh, my faux pas. Pardon me.
That's quite all right.
Okay. So we'll just kind of walk past that little faux pas. So tell me about the Divine Science Federation. What is the Divine Science Federation?
We are an affiliation of Divine Science Ministries. By that, we have ministries that have been a part of us. One gentleman has retired who had a ministry that was through the internet. We have some that are study groups, some that are churches. So basically, we are, although many people call us the Divine Science denomination, technically we're not quite set up like a denomination. We are set up as an affiliation of ministries.
Okay.
And we do the teachings that were set forth by people like Melinda Kramer, Nona Brooks, Fanny James, Alethea Small.
Okay.
Nona Brooks, Alethea Small, Fanny James, all sisters. And the four of them are somewhat considered the founders of Divine Science.
Exactly. And what are some fundamental principles that Divine Science teaches?
Okay. First, the one we emphasize foremost is the principle of omnipresence. Okay. And that is that there is only one. There is this one presence, God present everywhere. It is the only thing there is. It's a thing that is common in all of the thought, but in Divine Science, it is the principle that we emphasize the most.
One presence, one power.
One presence, one power. That is all there is.
Okay. And
go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, I may have shared this with you personally. I don't think I've used it when on your show, but it's very similar to going to one side of a building and looking out and you see whatever's there, but you're looking through the air. It's present there, but you may not see it. You can look out the window on the other side. There's still air. It's not separate. It's one thing. If you were to see tornadoes on each side of the building, it will appear as two different objects. But a tornado is only wind is only air. So it's one thing expressing itself in a multiplicity. So it's a unity expressing itself in multiplicity. And that's the way we think of God.
Oh, I love that. Unity expressing its multiplicity. So individualizations of this one power. Perfect. What's another fundamental principle in Divine Science?
Well, we could go into several. One of the ones that I go to next is that our consciousness does create for us our reality, but it is about aligning ourselves with what God already is. In other words, if we are the expression of God, or as I prefer to say, we are God in expression, then whatever is true of Spirit or God in a universal sense is true of us in an individualized sense. So it is about recognizing that unity. For me, it goes beyond just being one with God. It's recognizing that unity with all that is.
Okay.
Which makes us one with one another as well as with God.
That's pretty deep awareness there. In terms of being one with God, I know that I sometimes work with people, if I coach people, and they'll say, well, I have this issue and I have that issue. And when they take the time to really define God rather than a power outside, and instead as an all-inclusive power, an energy and presence that is everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-action, then they begin to identify that because God expresses through me, therefore I can. Because God expresses through me, therefore, and just fill in the sentence. I'm fantastic college student. I am in loving, supportive relationships. I'm in the right place at the right time, and on and on. What do you do, or what do you teach people to discipline their consciousness, their awareness, their understanding, so that they can have a greater experience of and connection to the power?
One is, as one friend of mine said, language is our greatest, perhaps, challenge, because you can't really define God, because we're speaking with a finite vocabulary, a finite language, trying to describe something that is infinite. But if we understand that we can't even say God is near, that's wrong, because to say God is near implies separation.
Yes.
Or duality. So it's beginning to become aware of what you're thinking. In other words, there's a person who was not part of divine science, actually not called himself part of any New Thought organization, by the name of Neville Goddard. And when Neville taught, and he used what was called the Tetragrammaton, which were the letters that the ancient Jewish people thought of as the name of God. And those letters, the very first one, meant awareness, but also to be aware of being aware. The I amness that we are. And if we become aware that we are aware, that means paying attention to what we're thinking and always being able to correct those thoughts. So it's coming into a new awareness, and that requires us to be aware of what we're thinking. Sort of to step back and to observe ourselves, first and foremost. And then beginning to always realize that if something is not true of God, it cannot be true of us. There are no limits on God, so therefore the only limits that we could possibly have would be those that we self-impose. And as we begin to always align that and think of ourselves in that unity, so it's a discipline, it's a process.
Absolutely. It's a discipline, and it's a course of study. I mean, you have to really embrace these ideas. It's not enough to just intellectually know them. You have to really make them yours in your mind and your heart. Yeah, wonderful. Go ahead.
There was a unity minister by the name of Sky St. John.
Okay.
And many people knew Sky, but Sky would say when he grew up I think he grew up in the Baptist church. You hear those ministers say, and them believing in a heaven-hell situation. And in New Thought, we don't believe that. We understand that heaven is right here and right now. But those old ministers say some people will miss heaven by 12 inches. And that was the distance from their head to their heart.
Wow.
So these principles, we can know them, but when they become part of us, so that our thinking is automatically falling in line with it. And we're forming new thought patterns, we're forming new ways of thinking and being about everything in life.
That's so wonderful. And what's so neat is that when you start to get your mind in a new direction, when you're in charge of your thinking rather than your thinking be in charge of you, what happens is when you get to just a little bit over 50% positive thinking, it catapults up to 85%. That's one thing that's so fantastic about thinking positively. What do you say to people who say, that's all airy nonsense, that's crazy, and your thoughts can't create, and you're living in a bubble? What do you say to those people?
Well, first of all, most everyone has heard the expression, or at least it was an expression in the regions where I grew up, that you probably are going to get whatever you expect.
Okay.
And people accept that. It's when you begin putting a spiritual spin on it, because, again, many times it is a resistance to something that they categorize as, quote, religion. And, even organizations like religious science, which used to determine their name at one point in time, religion became a negative thing. So I think it is people's resistance that they start saying it's airy-fairy.
Okay.
The main thing, and there are some other things that I can show, but basically, we all know that. We all know, we talk about goal setting. Every business or sales course for sales promotion now, they talk about setting goals and visualizing. When I was a young man and I went into a sales position, one of the first things that our sales manager did was hand every one of us a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Right? As I flew up this week in my flight between Baltimore and Albany, I noticed a gentleman with this book, Think and Grow Rich. And I looked at him, I said, "Is it your first time to read it?" He said, "No. You know, I've read it several times." I said, "Well, you always get something new." Now, this gentleman, I don't believe he was any part of a, quote, New Thought organization or a spiritual organization, but when I saw his card on his luggage, he was a financial planner. He was someone who helped someone manage finances. So the principles are there, and they're pretty much accepted by most people. Again, we don't, as I tell people, the difference between being what I call airy-fairy sometimes and being solid is understanding that our teaching makes us totally responsible for everything in our life.
Okay.
Now, some people shy away from that and they think that's judgmental, but actually it's the most freeing thing that we can be, is to be responsible. Because you can only change those things which you accept responsibility for. So therefore, if I am responsible for everything, it gives me the ability to change things in my life. Okay?
That's perfect.
And by accepting that responsibility, as I said, if it's not your responsibility, you can't change it. That makes it very free. One of the illustrations I use about that power being within us, if you talk to some people who they get into every type of stone, every type of crystal and things like this, and they talk about the vibration, and that's good and that's fine. We bless people in whatever they find a sense of empowerment in, a sense of peace, something that allows them to live life more fully. But the thing is, our belief is that it changes when something within me changes.
There you go.
I can't change my life by putting a different rock in my pocket, but I can change my life if I change my thinking, if I can align myself with that which God is.
Awesome. That's beautiful. That was so well put. Now, I'm not sure if we have a commercial break. I know they'll signal me if we have any. Okay, good, we don't. Good. Okay, questions. You said that you're rearranging and moving the offices for the Divine Science Federation. Where are you moving them to, by the way?
We were staying in Rutland, Vermont.
Okay.
We moved just a half mile. We were right in downtown. And there was someone else who came in who wanted a large portion of that building. So we were asked and given some incentive, financial incentive, if we would relocate. So we actually moved a half mile. We moved into a place that's called the Powell Center here in Rutland. So we have conference facilities, everything in the one center.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We're excited about it.
I bet. Now, you have a biennial conference, Divine Science Federation, so the conference will be next year.
That is correct.
And will it be held there?
That has not yet been decided.
Okay.
The only thing that's been decided is that Dr. Janine Burns will attend. But other than that,
Okay, I'll be there. Tell us about the books, goodies. There, if you go to the website, divinesciencefederation.org, you can find out more information there. If you go to divinesciencefederation.org, which you can also find is books for sale. And tell us about the books.
well, we have a number of books, and in moving, we have found that we have more of them than we thought. So you didn't have a commercial. Can I do a commercial break right here?
Go for it.
Well, one of the things we're doing is trying to get our materials in the hand. So we have several books that we purchased them at a time when you had to purchase literally thousands of copies.
Okay.
When they were printed. Now printing has changed. You get them in smaller quantities. So what we're doing is we're offering books. There's a series that's called Coming to Me, written by Melinda Kramer. Melinda Kramer, founder of Divine Science, huge figure in the history of New Thought overall, and a person who experienced healing after an experience with light. So therefore, she has a series called Coming to Me. Volume 1 is called The Light. Volume 2 is called Job, and Volume 3 is called The Christ.
Okay.
So those are roughly, normally about $45 just for that set, about $15 each. Then you have a book called In the Light of Healing by Nona Brooks. Nona Brooks, probably one of the most amazing figures you would ever be able to study. There are different accounts of this miraculous style happenings. Because again, if it's done unto us as we believe, she apparently believed in a lot because it was just a miraculous life for her. But she wrote a book called In the Light of Healing, another one that's called Mysteries.
Okay.
We have a book by her sister, who was Fanny James, called Selected Bible Readings. Also another Nona Brooks book called Short Lessons in Divine Science. One called Truth and Health by Fanny James, again, Nona's sister. And those come to a total of 8 books.
Okay.
Would normally run you about $140. We are doing those 8. We are hugely overstocked on them, so we're doing those 8 books for $39.
Wow. So when do they go on sale?
All you would need to do, you can go to our website.
Okay.
And if you will send us an email at DSFI, those are the initials for Divine Science Federation International, DSFI at me.com.
At me,
And
M-E?
you'll see me, as in you and I, or you and me.
Gotcha.
Okay?
So that's
D.com.
DSFI.me.com.
No, DSFI at me.com.
At me.com. Got it. Okay, fantastic. And then you'll send us back an email?
That is correct. Email and just let it be known that you saw it on Spirituality Rocks, and we will let you have all 8 of those for $39.
That is fantastic. Ooh, all right. We're going to have to, when we post on Facebook, we're going to have to put that information along with it so that people have those goodies that they can get a hold of. Let's talk for just a moment. The International New Thought Alliance is coming. It's starting this year on July 14th through the 18th, or the 17th. Yes. It's held in Phoenix, Arizona. And people can look up INTA, the International New Thought Alliance, on Google and check it out. And you'll be attending the conference. And it's
I will be attending the conference. Yes.
It's the 100th anniversary, so we're going to have a lot of incredible speakers there. Will you be speaking this year?
I will be speaking this year.
Well, I look forward to hearing you. I'm going to be on some kind of a panel, so I look forward to that. And I look forward to my birthday lunch. You take me out for my birthday every year. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to it as well. You get to pick the restaurant.
All right. So we're going to move. I want to talk about the Oath of Manifestation. I don't know if you've heard about it. Have you heard about this Oath of Manifestation?
I have not.
Well, it's up on the internet. I'd like to read it to you and the viewing audience. You can just go to Oath of Manifestation and Google it. You can pull it up. You say it for 30 days with a partner, out loud, with feeling and gusto, and you will find remarkable changes as you change your consciousness. So I want to read it, and then I want to hear you comment on it. So it goes like this. I accept and receive unexpected good, unexpected money, unexpected love, unexpected generosity, unexpected offers, unexpected prosperity, coming in unexpected ways from unexpected places in my life and the life of others. I'm constantly guided and boldly empowered to receive the lavish abundance of the universe. I accept the principles that abundance and prosperity have already been given to me. My acceptance makes it real and opens the space for manifestation to rush in. I open wide the doors of my consciousness to receive and to give. It is done now. Through this oath of manifestation, all things are possible. I declare absolutely that I live in a friendly universe that is always providing for me. I feel it powerfully happening now. I open to receive more abundance and to give more abundance than I've ever experienced before. I can afford anything I desire. In fact, I'm so prosperous, I need never worry again. I'm grateful for that I already have, and grateful for that I'm all ready to give. I keep myself in high consciousness no matter what the appearances are. God is all there is. I let the God time roll, and so it is. So my question for you, Dr. Tim, after hearing this oath of manifestation, what about people who read this and go, wait, that's not true for me? Well, this is crazy. How would you respond to that?
Well, again, it is because we are not always aware, because actually, you and I recognize that as true.
Right.
But people are sometimes caught with that underlying belief system, something that they're not aware of. Underneath, they may not feel they're deserving of that good. So it's changing their belief about themselves. Sometimes it is healing that portion of us. If I can use a illustration from the Bible for a moment, there was in the 5th chapter of the book of Mark, there was a guy that the Bible said he was possessed of demons. Now, in New Thought, we don't have demons. We understand that is thinking that is belief in separation or duality. It is thinking in ways of prejudice and lack and all these other things.
And
but
yes?
This person who was there was hiding behind the tombs. Remember, a cemetery is only a place where to honor that which is dead and past. It's not about the living and now. And this person said, go away, leave us alone. Sometimes we have to get ready to step out of that point where we cling to our past prejudices, our past beliefs, and until we're ready to lay that aside and be healed. Because when this demoniac was freed from this, he went from being naked and wounded and hiding behind tombstones, wanting to be left alone, to being clothed in his right mind. And the Bible said he was sitting at the feet of Jesus, which in that case, think of Jesus just as that enlightened teacher.
Right.
We sit at the foot of enlightened consciousness when we are ready to give up old prejudices. We're ready to give those things up. If it's not working, we can look. We will find somewhere underneath all of it, there is a belief that we have about ourselves, about the world.
That needs to be shifted.
It has to be shifted. And we have to understand that what we believe about one part of life affects every part of life. Several years ago, I had a lady who was doing practitioner training, and she sat down with me and she said, I'm not sure how much of this I believe. And it's, what is it that is your problem? Her home had been broken into while she was there. The person who broke in did not realize she was there. He came to the front door, knocked on the front door. She looked from an upstairs window because she was getting out of the shower. But before she could get clothes on and go downstairs, he broke open the front door and came in to rob her home.
Oh.
She managed to call the police. There was no harm. He fled as the police were coming.
Okay.
But she said to me, nowhere in my consciousness was there the idea that someone could rob me, because if he had come to the back door instead of the front, he could have walked in. The keys, she drove a Mercedes. She said the keys to the Mercedes were on the kitchen table. He could have had a cup of coffee, drove off with my car. I probably wouldn't have noticed it for a few hours.
Right.
She said, so where is that? And it was that intuition.
Yeah.
Understand that it was just for a moment I looked at her and I said, what was going on in your business life at that time?
Right.
Did you feel that everything was secure there and you were being treated fairly, or did you feel someone was trying to rob you or steal from you?
Right.
And her eyes got very big, and as she looked at me, she said, oh my goodness. She said, at that time I was dealing with a book publisher in New York, and I felt like he was trying to rob me, like he was trying to take things away from me.
Right. Isn't that interesting? So that's why the experience happened, but she never got robbed. You know what? I'm just listening so intently, I didn't realize we got to wrap it up. I just want to thank you so much, Dr. Tim, who is the current president. He's the president of the Divine Science Federation. Check out Divine Science Federation International at me.com. You can send them an email to get information about those books. And divinesciencefederation.org is the website. Thank you for joining me on Spirituality Rocks.
Yeah, and it's dsfi at me.com.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
So that's dsfi.com. You can check that out. I want to thank you for joining me this week on Spirituality Rocks. We have some fantastic guests coming up. We have Margaret Ruark. We have Derek Wells is coming up. And the list goes on and on. And so I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Cassie and Janine and Tommy and everybody in the studio that makes the show possible at the Madhouse TV studios in Deer Park, Long Island. This is Dr. Janine Burns signing out on Spirituality Rocks. See you next time.